Batemans Salem Bridge Brewery in Wainfleet, Lincolnshire. The history of George Bateman and Son has been underpinned by three words that are as relevant today as they were more than 145 years ago when George and Susanna Bateman sold their farm and purchased a small brewery in Wainfleet. And those three words reflect the fact that we are independent family brewers. It's hard to overestimate how important these three words are to Stuart and Jacqueline Bateman, the fourth generation of the family to brew our famous beers. By way of an introduction to Batemans, we're going to take a few minutes to look into what being an independent family brewer means to us today. We believe that an independent brewery has different qualities and priorities to one controlled by corporate shareholders. For Batemans, independence means that we've been able to follow our passion for beer and pubs by investing our heart and soul in a substantial long-term vision for our business. When you compare our approach to the decisions driven by the short-term demands of many modern brewing businesses, you begin to appreciate how our brewery, our staff, our suppliers, and of course our customers have benefited from our independent status. As the current guardian of the family brewery, Stuart says, ultimately, independence means we're a business run by brewers and not accountants. For our staff, that means that Batemans is a more fulfilling and secure place to work. Our publicans benefit from fair terms, reasonable pricing and award-winning training, which means they tend to run better pubs and stick with those pubs and their communities for longer periods. Our suppliers like working with Batemans because they understand that we value long-term relationships and get more out of working alongside brands that we care about and respect. For our trade customers, our independence means we can continue to offer a wide selection of beers, lagers, ciders, wines, spirits and minerals to complement our own Batemans brewed products. We live within the communities we serve and we use our own pubs socially, so it's in our mutual interest to ensure our pubs remain part of those communities. And finally, but most importantly for our customers, independence means a wider selection of better beers served from better pubs. In short, independence means that we are genuinely able to support the individuals and companies that our business relies upon, and they in turn want to support us. And that leads us to the next pillar of our business, the family. We've never been owned by anyone other than the Bateman family. George and Susanna from 1874, Harry from 1921, Mr. George from 1950, and Stuart and Jacqueline Bateman from 1987 until today. Now, there's a saying about family businesses that the first generation start them, the second develop them, and the third generation sell them off. Well, Stuart and Jacqueline are the fourth generation of Bateman family brewers, and their aims remain to develop the brewery for the family that will follow them. In fact, the family has a long history of campaigning to support British brewing and reinvesting dividends to lay foundations for the next generation. A good example of this was in 2002, when despite running an efficient brewery that was producing high quality, award-winning beers, the family made a massive investment in building a new brewhouse to complement George Bateman's original Victorian brewery, in order that the business could guarantee quality and efficiency well into the next generation and the second part of the 21st century. Our family's brewing traditions, methods and tricks of the trade have been passed down through the generations. For instance, the yeast here that gives our award-winning beers 60% of its flavour is our own closely guarded and original variety used for over 145 years. And that's a great way to introduce the third pillar of this independent family business, the fact that we are craft brewers. Now, the definition of crafted is quality goods produced by passionate people whose skills have been passed down from generation to generation. And as we've already established, Batemans has a history of our employees' grandfathers, fathers and sons working in the business. Indeed, we've still got a family in the brewery whose overall service has amounted to nearly 250 years. We've been brewing in the same way for 145 years, which means our current brews benefit from that heritage and the massive experience, skill and inherited craft that comes with it. Sure, we've made mistakes as we've gone, but we continue to experiment and learn more as we go. And it's this holistic approach to brewing that's led to the quality, consistency and reliability And of course, in the case of Salem Bridge Brewing Company, the originality that our beer-loving customers enjoy today. So, we work hard to challenge the accepted wisdom that craft beer can only be good if it's brewed by recently established breweries that don't brew above a certain volume. All of Batemans beers are small batch brewed, with the best raw materials, slowly and with attention to detail by passionate, experienced brewers. And before we leave the brewing side of our business, it's also worth mentioning that as well as a brewery, Batemans are also the family behind J.E. Ridlington and Son, our own wine and spirit merchants. Ridlington's has just celebrated its 100th anniversary, and it's been part of the business that's allowed us to build strong and long-term relationships with over 400 trade customers across the east of England who know us for much more than just our beers. Stuart is often asked whether he would sell a family business like Batemans if offered enough money, and his reply in return is a question. Why would we sell a business that's in reality a passion? You see, the family shareholders have always treated themselves as guardians for a generation. Just take a look around the brewery. What could you possibly do that's more engaging, rewarding and fulfilling than running a brewery like Batemans in a place like Waynfleet with people like the colleagues and friends that we work with every day?